Every year on the 3rd of May, the world commemorates World Press Freedom Day. Zimbabwe also celebrates this day. And in celebrating World Press Freedom Day, this program is brought to you by Magamba Network in collaboration with We Lead Trust under their Free to Express program. Today, we want to talk about young people, AI, and freedom of expression. Joining me in this conversation to discuss today's issue is media expert Mlondolozi Ndlovu. Welcome to the program.
Welcome, Lynette.
Thank you very much. Also joining me is a youth expert, Passionate Fuza. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Lynette.
Happy Press Freedom Day to you.
Same to you.
Yes, so we want to start with you, Passionate. When we talk about freedom of expression, what does it mean to you as a young person in Zimbabwe?
Okay, thank you so much. That's a very good question. So when I think about freedom of expression from a young person's perspective, it means that I am at liberty, or I am allowed to speak my mind to the governance issues of Zimbabwe. I'm allowed to speak my mind to any issues regardless of what is happening in the country without me getting an implication. Of course, due to various laws, there is a way of saying things in a safer way. But currently, it has become so very complex that it's even confusing what is the safest way for me to express in terms of, as far as freedom is concerned. So basically, I would say am I safe as a young person to comment on issues, mostly on the governance issues of Zimbabwe? Am I safe to comment on the misappropriation of funds? Am I safe to comment on the governance issues just generally, or any issue that is happening in this country?
Thank you very much. And Mlondolozi, the good thing about you being on this panel is you're not just a media expert, you're a legal expert as well. And as she was speaking, she's talking from a young person's perspective, and she's saying, I want to speak out. It's her right as a citizen. Remember, there's that social contract between the governed and the governing. We let go of our powers during elections. But then when young people want to speak about how money is being used, then they get arrested or then they are threatened. How should young people navigate this without getting, in trouble?
Yeah, without getting in trouble, I'm not sure, really. But there must be a way of ensuring that citizens can speak out, against bad things that happen in society. Because the Constitution of Zimbabwe empowers everyone. If we were to go, I think the premise of our discussion should be Section 61 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which empowers every citizen with the right to freedom of expression, and Section 62, which empowers citizens with the right to access to information. So if you look at it really in Zimbabwe, we have a very, very good constitution. Particularly if you go to Section 2 of the Constitution, it will tell you that the constitution of this country is the supreme law of the land, and all other laws, practices, or customs must be consistent with the constitution. But it's very difficult. It's really sad that you find those that are in office, those that are in power, feeling threatened when young people speak, feeling threatened when citizens speak, against misappropriation of funds, and they are labeled as traitors, they are labeled as sellouts, and all other those names that they are called. But at the end of the day, we are saying that as citizens, there is need for citizens to speak with one voice, to then say, to get to a point where they can say that, no, this is our country. This is not anyone's country. It is our country, and we are empowered. And as we celebrate World Press Freedom Day, it's important to note that press freedom is the greatest of all freedoms. Freedom of expression is the freedom that empowers or that enables citizens to then enjoy other rights. For you to enjoy your right to public health, you should be able to express yourself about health. For you to enjoy your right to education or your right to the environment, you should be able to express yourself, to say, how do I feel? So I think the first thing that must be done as we try to navigate this is we need to be a collective as citizens. We need to speak with one voice, and we need to have spaces like I like what you guys are doing, spaces where we can speak as one voice. Then from there, we find ourselves and we say, what is it that we wish, what are our aspirations for Zimbabwe?
Thank you very much for that. And still with you, you bring up the issue of, the relationship between press freedom and the role of the media. And these are like two peas in a pod. Talk to us about freedom of expression in relation to Zimbabwe as a country, and how it's affecting or how it's impacting the role of the media.
So if you look at Zimbabwe, if we perhaps we are looking at Zimbabwe post 1980, when we got our independence in 1980, we had the previous constitution, which only spoke to freedom of expression. Section 20 of that particular constitution only spoke about freedom of expression, and you find that there were times when it felt like politicians used to respect this freedom of expression, but each and every time when they are under threat, they go back to their default mode, and the constitution had been suspended. And this is what we have seen, and this has been made worse by the promulgation of certain laws. That makes it very, very difficult to realize this freedom of expression. So if you are to go historical about it, if you go to early 2000, we had the Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act, which was IPA, which made it very difficult. I remember one of the MPs then, Professor Edson Zobo, was a ZANU-PF MP, but very progressive when he commented on the Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act. He actually said that in Zimbabwe, it is very difficult to get information than it is to drill water from a rock. So which means that he was actually acknowledging that things were very difficult. And fast forward to now, we have a situation whereby we are expecting the state to actually respect citizens' right to put them to account. We have Section 61, Section 62 of the Constitution, but we then have those laws that become a hindrance in terms of transmitting information. For instance, now we have the Cyber and Data Protection Act. We have one of our own, Blessed Mhlanga, was behind bars, for a crime of allegedly transmitting information with the intention to incite public violence, for a crime that he did not commit. So you find that it is very difficult for us to say that we would say in Zimbabwe as it is, freedom of expression is respected, because when one tries to speak, it's either you are afraid of being arrested, or you then self-censor. You don't say certain things because you are afraid. So what we are seeing is that there is the use of the law. The law becomes sort of an invincible hand against journalists and even citizens. Because remember, this is not this is why our current constitution gives the freedom of expression to everyone, natural and juristic persons, right? Then it also gives freedom of the media. So it means that these are freedoms that are not just given to the media, but to everyone.
To everyone.
Yes.
This is the challenge of bringing media experts and lecturers and everything. They'll turn it into a lecture. But thank you very much. You're literally showing us exactly how things are moving. But I want you to continue with the conversation on Blessed Mhlanga, the journalist who was arrested on 24 February 2025. He's been arrested. He's been in prison for over 60 days now.
Yeah.
And when he was arrested, you as a young person who speaks out, you're in students' unions. I saw you once at public hearings speaking, giving your submissions on the PVO bill. How did that make you feel as a young person, seeing a journalist being arrested for interviewing someone?
Okay, thank you for that question. I would say here, that's a very hard situation and circumstance that sends a very negative message and image to us young people. And I would like to say I was once on Blessed Mhlanga's one of the sessions. He interviews us on the Auditor General. And the first thing that came into my mind when I heard that Blessed was sued for what he does, I was just asking my position and my safety based on that, because I was once at his platform speaking about the Auditor General report. And as a young person, I would say it's not many of us who are strong to continue to do the work and speak for other young people pitting these various issues that we work on. And I want to give an example that if a young person hears that Blessed was so, like, he's a big person, everyone knows Blessed. He's a guru in terms as media is concerned and actually bringing people together to speak their mind out. Then what happens to just Rutendo from Uzumba Maramba Fungo, who's passionate about the same work? Automatically, that's a dream shattering. Automatically, the person will just stay in the shadows and say, this is a no-go area. And our parents at large, they all say that the young people are the future of tomorrow. The future is young. Then I'm about to question, will I be able to reach to the future, which is considered to be young, if I start to participate in actually exercising my press freedom if Blessed met that fate. Automatically, this is like recently people say that young people are not so forthcoming, young people are not passionate, young people are not capable. It's not like we are not, but the environment is such toxic. It's shrinking every day, making young people fear for their own lives. And our parents actually, if you're staying under a guidance, they'll say, politics, uchagara ikoko. And I understand my parent because they love me as their child and they want a brighter future for me. But this is what I'm actually passionate about. I just feel the burning fire in me to say I should speak on behalf of young people. So at the end of the day, with the Blessed Mhlanga issue and other people that have met the same fate previously, it has set a very bad and negative precedence of young people actually coming forth to participate in issues of governance processes due to the circumstances at hand.
It clearly shows to me, when I'm just listening to the responses you're giving, that there's someone out there in power who wants to silence the media, who wants to silence people who are speaking. It means you have touched the right nerve, but they won't allow it. And I think it's important that we continue, speaking. But I want us to shift this conversation now to AI. I mean, this year's theme for Press Freedom Day is looking at AI and how it's changing everything. It's not just revolutionizing media, but every sector. What are the challenges that we're currently facing as the media industry in Zimbabwe in as far as AI is concerned?
I think in as far as AI is concerned, we should be grateful to technology because to some extent it's actually helping journalists to do their work, while it has other issues that I'm going to mention, other challenges that it has come with it. But you find that in restrictive environments like ours, I've seen journalists trying to use AI to actually avoid some of the arrests, some of the intimidation. If you look at, I've seen what Zimbo Live TV are doing, what other media houses are doing. When Blessed Mhlanga was arrested for interviewing the war veteran, the war veteran that he interviewed, I have seen some newsrooms now using artificial intelligence reporters to actually try and circumvent, avoid those arrests. So you see artificial intelligence, those robots being used to actually report the news. So I think that that is a very good way of saying, you know what, we are going to speak. As journalists, we are going to interview people, whether the state likes it or not, or whether they don't want us to speak or not, we are going to speak out. And it is our role to speak out, to provide a chance and a space to everyone, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they are coming from. So I think artificial intelligence has provided that space where journalists can actually use other tools. I've seen SITA using Alice, the AI presenter, to actually try and present their issues. But also, AI has come up with a lot of challenges on its own, because for us as the media to adopt AI, one of the things that we need is the resources. Because for us to use those AI tools, most of them require resources. And most of the newsrooms do not have the resources to actually purchase those high-end AI tools that actually assist journalists to do their work. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is that we do not have AI policies within the newsrooms themselves, where the newsrooms are not empowered enough to say, if we are using the AI, how ethical are we going to use it? So we have seen challenges where journalists are just regurgitating stuff from ChatGPT and reproducing them as stories. So that kills creativity on its own. So which means that we really need an AI policy. So if it's the VMCZ who are the leaders in terms of the code of conduct for journalists, they should help us to come up with a code in integrating AI, because it is where you are, it is where the world is now, and we can't reject the fact that AI is upon us. So we need to work at it from a policy level, from an issue of resources, the issue of training. Our institutions of training as lecturers. I know of someone was laughing to say some headmasters in our schools cannot use computers.
And then you're talking about AI.
Yeah, then you're already talking about AI. Then we've got issues of power. We have no electricity. Some places have no electricity. So what it means is, how do we come up with the energy conversation? How do we have energy that can ensure that AI is used in our context? So it's a lot of challenges, but I think that it's a new revolution that is upon us, and we should say AI must not replace journalists, but journalists that can integrate AI should replace those that cannot use AI.
Those that cannot. Someone jokingly said to me, with the way some people are using AI, if there's no electricity for a week, and then because they are using AI to write the stories, you realize what AI has been doing. Like you rightly said, it's killing creativity. People are becoming lazy. You just take your codes and ask AI to do the work. But also, you can literally tell that this article was AI engineered.
Yes, very true.
And then coming to you, we've got an increase of information, social media everywhere. And as a young person, sometimes there are chatbots out there churning out information, especially during elections. Sometimes you don't know, are you arguing, are you having a conversation with a human being or with AI? What are your thoughts around AI and chatbots, especially in regards to misinformation and disinformation during elections?
Okay, so I think my conversation is first going to be derived from what you say, to say AI is a good tool, but humans being humans, they are not social robots that are confined to one thing which is good every time. So I think it's high time young people need to balance the technological advancement and actually reading and actually investing their time and looking into current affairs, because you can't be told the independence is on 19 when you actually know it's on the 18th, right? So I think young people should balance, like what you're saying, that AI has been killing creativity. Young people should balance between real issues, investing themselves in real issues that are happening in the world, in our country and outside, as well as AI. AI should be there to integrate the work that is already being done on day-to-day basis. But it's a problem that AI has become like the main source of everything, and people just copy and paste. And people have believed AI to be something like a superpower. Everything that is sent to us by AI, like we should ask ourselves, who created this app? Who is feeding into information into this app?
The bias.
Exactly. And every human being, like, truth be told, every human being has their personal interests. Every human being is pushing something. So we should also actually think about that. Who is adding information to AI? Who created this app? They are humans like us. Everyone has a human interest. And young people should, actually, when I just hear about young people in this AI thing, I feel like day by day, we're actually proving to the ageistic political culture that young people are incapable, because we don't know issues. We don't invest in them. We don't read. It's just AI. Someone just come with the paper. If you ask AI the same question, you ask the same question, you ask the same question, the answers are somehow similar. It's traceable that this is AI. And for you actually sometimes know the individual capacity to say, this cannot be this person. So it actually has a lot of effect on the credibility of the contributions of young people to the space. So I think young people should actually balance that. And AI is not a battery in totality. It can be used for meaningful things, like what he's saying. It can be used to circumvent these issues of arbitrary arrest due to press freedom and the likes. So I think young people should just try to balance the two.
I think AI is like money. They say money on its own is not bad. But what do they say? How do
money
they say?
Is the root of all
money
evil.
is the root of, is it money? It's the love of money.
The love of money.
The way you use AI could be the problem. AI on its own is not bad.
Yeah.
But also looking at misinformation and disinformation, those chatbots, especially, I know we're not in an election period, but we are always in election mode in this country. But your thoughts around that? Because sometimes journalists get leads to stories from social media, but what if it's a chatbot? How are journalists navigating this area?
Maybe before I respond to that, I wanted to add to what she was saying. I think as we discuss this artificial intelligence conversation, we need to get to a point where we are saying, as Africans, are we not inputting our own data? Are we not developing our own applications to ensure that this AI is not pro-West? This AI also is an African voice, because one of the biggest challenges is that much of the information that we're getting on artificial intelligence is information that is from the West, and there is very little information about us as Africans. Number one. Number two is the issue of language. When you're talking of language, you find that much of the language models that you find on AI, or the language that have been inputted, is the Western languages, and it means that it may lead to the erosion of our cultures. So as we discuss about free expression, I think we also need to take that pro-African, approach to say that as Africans, we also need to start thinking about saying, how do we have collaboration between young people that are in technology and young people that are in social sciences and in arts, and saying, how do we input our own information and coming up with our own versions of artificial intelligence so that as Africa, we're not left behind, because this is the future. Then coming to the issue of misinformation and disinformation, you find that because of artificial intelligence now, if you look at elections the world over now, with this new concept around deep fake news, where we find AI being used to actually lie to people, politicians using it, manipulating it to tell fake information. So I think the role of journalism, as we celebrate World Press Freedom Day, is to ensure that the truth is not lost. Even when we are at a stage, this fourth industrial revolution, where we have technology, machines, robots taking over, we should not lose out on the truth, because the truth is the currents that will fuel democracy, so that democracy moves on. So I think that we need to fight fake news. We need to fight deep facts by ensuring that journalists are adequately empowered to use artificial intelligence, so that the information that we receive online is truthful information that will make it very, very easy for citizens to make informed decisions, be it economic, be it social or political decisions.
It's interesting how you bring in the issue around deep fakes. And I remember during the American elections, the run-up to the American elections, you would actually see videos of Kamala Harris, and they were deep fakes. They looked real, authentic. And then, now you are at a stage where you're saying, we're using this, people are using this to communicate lies. And now journalists need that, what can I say, a better lens at looking at these things and ensuring that then we don't use that as a lead and write a story and end up sending out misinformation. But I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us. But before we go, maybe if you can just give us in 20 seconds your final words to the viewers in regards to press freedom.
All right, thank you. What I have to say is freedom of press is not something that is going to come overnight, especially in Zimbabwe. And you have to ask yourself a question when they say you incite public violence. When things are okay, when things are right, who would actually have the energy and the power and the evokement of emotions to actually go and say we are inciting public violence when everything is okay? This is our country. This phenomena of saying the state is actually a wrong coining of word. According to me, who is the state? The state is us. We are all children of the land. And according to the constitution, where the parliamentarians actually sit down and say, this is the law that we're going to have, which everyone is contributed to, you have a right to speak out. What we have just to do is just to learn safe ways of actually expressing ourselves. And as a matter of fact, what we need to do is a collaborative voice. It's movement building, us against them, us against a situation. When it's going to be one person who stands out, like what Darabi has done, it's going to be easy for him to be silenced. But if you stand up as a group, if we stand up as Zimbabwe and stand up for our rights and say, this is a no, and actually to ask for accountability to our policyholders, then this situation is going to improve. At the end of the day, we should not keep quiet when something wrong is being done. This is our country, this is our right. Everyone has a right to say. If you have something to say, you need to say it in the right way possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mlondolozi.
Yeah, so I would say that in the technological revolution, as we are using artificial intelligence, let us continue to support the press, let us support journalists, because as Tulima Donzela once said, speaking truth to power is an act of friendliness. Let us support truth.
Let us speak truth to power. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mlondolozi Ndlovu, the media expert, and Passionate Fuza, the youth expert. And my name is Lynette Manzini. Until next time, goodbye.